Ladies and gentlemen, the voice is becoming chalked. The throat is hurting so bad, just like it always is. Whoa, that sounded a little sus. I mean, I'm literally always sick. If you watch my videos, I'm like sick every month. It seems like my immune system sucks really bad. The kids are sick and it's hard to make the videos, but we're doing it anyways at 12 o'clock midnight. Anyways, a lot has been happening. Drama from ImperialHal coming out to kind of just roast Apex overnight. And then you've got some pros stepping up to say, hey, I don't really agree with you right there. And then also Sykes coming out saying some players are scamming orgs, and Hal basically saying this is one of the biggest problems we have right now in the Apex esports scene. And also pro player retiring from ALGS. Let's dive into it. Firstly, ALGS Lan scrims. This has just basically started yesterday. I told you guys that it was kind of unfortunate we weren't getting full lobbies, and boom, here we are back and getting full lobbies on this one. Really good to see 100 Thieves back in this after obviously the roster announcement. But TSM in first, Gaming Gladiators in second, Moist Esports again in the top three, Crazy Raccoon, Cloud9, Bleed Esports, Team Falcons, Complexity, 100 Thieves, and Guild in the top 10. Liquid Alienware, NRG, Fnatic, Noctum, FaZe Clan, Oblivion, Dreamfire, Shadow, NIP, and VKG in your bottom 10. Obviously we will get more of this, and I'm sure some of these results will change over time. Also wanted to mention the drama about the game and the state of the game and how some pros disagree with some of this. Hal comes out to say Apex has actually reached to a point where even comp is unenjoyable. I swear so many pros / creators will be leaving. That's very concerning, leaving the game after champs with how the game is right now. So I'm assuming by saying this he's probably heard something, right? Maybe some pros have told Hal, hey, we're going to be dipping, we're going to be getting out after champs because this game is absolutely a mess right now. But he says it's an actual clown show with what this game has become. He also follows it up by saying, like, I understand that I'm always negative, etc., but this game right now has so many issues to the point that it's seeping into the comp scene now. Usually comp would be fine, but now it's an actual joke. Zero exaggeration. You did have some people come to, basically bat here to say, I think they could fix it with XYZ, and even Verhulst basically saying, I disagree. Nicewig says one support character limit per team, and we're back. This is an interesting concept right now because many people are running Gibraltar and Newcastle, Lifeline and Newcastle, some running all three. Obviously support legends are extremely hard right now, but Hal also following it up by saying that, and plus Newcastle needs to be mega nerfed. And people were saying, yeah, he was already in a good spot, why put him at this much power? So I think that the idea of having one support character limit per team is an interesting concept. We've talked about in the past, maybe having rules like a tournament rule set similar to how Call of Duty has, right? You have drill charges and all this stuff that is fun for pubs, but it's not meant for comp. Some maps that are used for pubs, but not meant for comp. Game modes that are fun for pubs, but not meant for comp. Call of Duty and some other games do this very regularly. I'm really not opposed to Apex taking a similar route. We already have a tournament rule set inside of private matches where it disables the heat shield. I think we all can agree that there are some things that may not be necessarily good for Apex comp, and I would like to see them go that direction personally, but I know some of you have disagreed in the past when I brought it up. Privacy, the analyst over there at Falcons, also said we need smart balance in legends and introduce soft counters as well. Limit each team to one legend per class, and legend bans in comp will be good and fun as well for viewers. The current meta is just not enjoyable. For the first time, pros and casuals seem to agree on this, but well, not all. I heard from so many casual players frustrated with how the meta is. It was fun for the first few days, but now not so much. That is not the only opinion out there though. Verhulst, TSM, obviously one of the finest teams out there right now, actually came out to say that he believes things are a little bit different. This might actually be the best meta we've ever had for both pros and viewers. Long drawn out fights means more teams alive, more fighting, and more action throughout the game. There's no visual clutter. Bang, smoke, and catwall and cost of gas are not in the meta, so viewers can see what's actually going on. Now, based upon some regular comments we're seeing, Alberlelli, Nicewig, many others as well, it can be fun to watch. I can see where it's frustrating for players, but they all seem to collectively agree that it is absolutely terrible for those that are specifically playing solo queue. Also wanted to mention, coming from the organization side of Apex, right? Hal had basically talked about the future of the game and how some people will be leaving. Not only is it just players to concern about, but organizations as well. Him and Sykes and Waltzy were playing ranked earlier and had a long conversation about the state of the game with organizations and players, and Sykes going even as far to say that players, some are scamming organizations out there based upon what they're earning, based upon what their pay is versus the results they are getting, and how going as far to say based on the requirements that they are being given, right? You know, how many hours you stream, etc., etc. So here's what they had to say. Maybe this is a serious issue that we need to discuss and digest and attack in the ALGS scene. Roll the clip.
The biggest thing in my head is like esports right now is like it's so like brain dead. With like it needs to be more like corporate in a way. I feel like in like discipline, because not only is just that like people get paid, but there's like practically I feel like no requirements to like fulfill your salary. Like yeah, you have base hours that you have to stream, but like it's just so everything is so flexible and like not serious. Because we're just playing video games, it's not considered like, it's not taken as like a real job, even though we were making real money.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Like there's, like we're not, like nobody is required to like perform to a certain level or.
Well, that's one thing I've always disagreed with.
Etc.
If you're not like, streaming to me is one thing. Obviously, if you're like, you shouldn't be making 10,000 plus if you're fucking not streaming and doing that. But like people that consistently perform bad and still, and I know there are some people in this fucking scene that consistently go to fucking lands or consistently don't make lands that are on like fucking 6K. I'm not gonna name fucking names because we're on stream, but there's people that are literally scamming the fuck out of orgs and their teammates.
Yep.
And that shit is insane to me. That is something I'll never understand. If you can't fucking rock up to 2 lands out of the 3 and get a fucking top 5, or maybe a fucking top 7, you shouldn't even be getting fucking close to 5K.
So interesting stuff. I've actually heard, you know, compared to other esports out there, Apex is actually one of the lower paying ones as well for some. Like I think some of the middle ground players get paid more, but I think some of the highest graded players don't get paid as much as you probably thought. And at the end of the day, it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Like when you hear 10K for one of the top players, you're probably, you know, obviously it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But like, you know, compared to years ago, when you talk about like the Scumps of the world, or, you know, the big Crim Sixes of the world, the ImperialHals of the world, you would think those ultra elite top guys are always getting XYZ. And I think some of those other games are, but I've continuously heard, maybe I'm wrong, that HAL is actually one of the lesser paid pros of esports. Not in Apex, obviously probably one of the more paid pros, but are higher paid pros. But for all of esports, I've heard that maybe that paycheck is not so much. Well, at least that was TSM. Things probably different with Falcons now, that Falcons obviously a little bit different. And they got a little bit more money probably, but that's just a conversation I've been hearing. Interested to see what you guys have to say. Interested to see what you think as well. I think on a general consensus, there are a lot of players that are not performing well that are probably getting some pretty nice paychecks from some organizations out there. Are they scamming these orgs with their, you know, requirements, or how much they're streaming, or the placements they're getting and how much they're, you know, maybe I think it's a fair conversation that Sykes does propose. Also wanted to make mention some retirements, you know, going on inside of the scene. We just recently saw Panders do something similar, moving on to other stuff, but in his career. Well, Zeratricky, former Furia player, also doing the same as far as retiring, moving on to another game. He says he's done with Apex Comp, by the way, and instead he's pursuing Deadlock content with some Apex. Been having a lot of fun with it. We'll see obviously how hard of a transition this is. Is it like going to be full blown done with Apex, never coming back, or is it just going to be one of those things where it's like hey, I'm taking a break, but when things get good again, I might find myself back into that scene. Time will tell, and obviously we'll keep you up to date right here on the ALGS News channel. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all things going on inside the world of Apex Legends news, drama, esports, and much more. We'll be back at it later today if things get crazy enough, and until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators. Gosh, I just crushed that, not gonna lie.